Coming up this week on Ride the Lightning, the Tesla Motors unofficial podcast, Tesla adds a launch mode to try and make Model S even a hair quicker off the line. Autopilot gets nerfed a bit. Tesla's got a great holiday gift for iPhone owners and more. Tally-ho! Welcome to Ride the Lightning, the Tesla Motors unofficial podcast. My name is Ryan McCaffrey. It's episode 20 for December 13th, 2015. It is good to have the show back up to full strength. And by that I mean both me, I'm feeling much better after you could tell my voice was a little off under the weather, especially last week and then a bit the week before even. And then even the recording quality of the show is restored to its better quality than what I'd been subbing in the last 2 weeks. The broken recorder has been repaired under warranty, and it's back in my hands. I'm very happy to have it back. So, yay! I appreciate it. I just want to say thank you again to all of you for bearing with me the last couple weeks, both with my voice and from the slightly lessened sound quality from the inferior recording device. So, back in action here. What can we tell you? Founder Series Model X deliveries seem to be picking up a bit based on anecdotal evidence on the Tesla Motors Club forums. Still no word for signature deliveries, however. It is looking less and less likely that any of those are going to happen in 2015, but we'll see. We'll see. That's you never know. They could sneak out a couple hundred of them, few hundred of them that last week of the year. It is entirely possible. Boy, I just kind of feel bad for the factory workers, Tesla factory workers. They've got to be pulling just some serious hours. Who knows if there are even double shifts going on right now. They did that the first or second holiday for Model S. I remember that. That was the thing. There was just double shifts going, and there's cars just manufacturing around the clock. So, with Model X, with everybody waiting, it's just been so tough, and I got to figure it's just as hard on the Tesla employees. So we wish them the best, because there's only so much they can do, right? If they're waiting on parts and they're just trying to build as many cars as close to completion as they can, and everybody with a reservation is getting stressed out, and it's the holidays, which is already a stressful time. So, if you haven't already, maybe send a note somehow to, either your delivery specialist or somebody. Let the Tesla factory workers know that you're thinking about them. First up on the Tesla hotline, on the Ride the Lightning hotline this week, Eric from Florida wants to talk a little bit about other EVs and their appearance after he was responding to my comments about the Chevy Bolt from last week. Eric, go ahead.
Hey, Ryan, what's up? My name is Eric. I live in Florida. I'm a short-term listener. Been listening to podcasts Unlocked, Beyond, Knocking Boots, just recently. So I love you guys at IGN. I love what you're doing. My question is, actually, kind of a comment and question about Tesla. I was just listening to your episode 19, talking about the Chevy Bolt, and I actually went to YouTube and looked at a few, thumbnails for the videos. And you're talking about the look and the aesthetics, how it looks like a fit in the back and a Bolt in the front. I mean, it's amazing to me. Do you think that these car companies, even though they spend however much money they're spending, I'm guessing somewhere in the millions, on these electric vehicles to make them look ugly on purpose? Do you really think that they're trying to do that? Because Tesla came out with these wonderful looking cars, from the Model S to the X isn't the best looking, but it looks a lot better than the Bolt or the Leaf or the Bolt. I mean, look at the Prius, and people were buying the Prius. I think they're trying to pretend that it's a trend of, look at our hybrid or electric vehicles to make them stand out, but Tesla knows that they have to look pretty. So what do you think, Ryan? Do you think they're trying to make them look ugly on purpose so that it can actually fail in the long term? I mean, I guess I'm being a little cynical about it, but what do you think, man? Take care. Thanks for having me.
Eric, thank you for the call. And guess what? I actually think you pretty much hit it on the head without even realizing it in your call. I genuinely believe that the reason that so many EVs have been, shall we say, less than attractive, I really think it actually is the Prius's fault, in the sense of the Prius is sort of the poster child right now for a cheap, high fuel economy car. Because we don't have, the Leaf isn't long enough range and the Model S isn't cheap enough. So as far as sort of affordable, good economy car, the Prius is the poster child for that. And if you look, the original concept car, the original design for the Volt was actually very attractive. And you notice that the Volt that ended up hitting the road was fairly Prius-like. Honda, we've seen, what is it, can't think if it's the Civic or the large, I want to say whatever their sort of a Prius equivalent is, has a very Prius look to it. I mean, it's because you look at, and that's the reason is these automotive executives at the rival companies, they look and go, what? Toyota's selling how many Priuses a year? About 1 million? Well, gee, maybe clearly customers are happy with that and are okay with that and they like that. So let's give them that, except with our badge on it. And I think the other part of that is the weirdmobile factor, that they're, that an executive will think, well, we're building an electric car, which is something different, so I've got to make it look different to differentiate it from my gas cars, to tell customers, hey, this is a different thing. When really that's just the absolute wrong way to be thinking about it. They should be thinking about it in the opposite way of, well, let's just make it look good like the rest of our cars. Just make it look as good as we can, and people will buy it no matter what's under the hood, or in an electric vehicle's case, not under the hood. But I really genuinely believe, Eric, that the Prius and its success is quote unquote to blame for a lot of electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles looking rather boring, because the Prius is this boring little hatchback thing. But its success is something that every auto manufacturer wants a piece of. Tesla's the only one, because it's led by a guy and a team who they don't chase that. That's not what they're interested in. They want to make the best car they can make, and they're not afraid to take chances and go out on their own, strike out on their own. So, good stuff from Eric. Thank you very much. Our next call is someone we've heard from before. He goes by the handle of Tesla8. He's curious about the Model 3, which I am always happy to talk about. Tesla8, the floor is yours.
Hi, Ryan. This is Tesla8. I had a question about the Model 3 and the base $35,000 car. I know that they'll come out with the Founder Series and then the Signature Series first. And I'm thinking that they're going to probably have a way to auction up the Model 3 probably close to $100,000, even though that's overlapping with the Model S. But when do you think the first $35,000 base Model 3 will actually be delivered? If the first Founders would be maybe the end of 2017, when do you think they'll actually deliver the base model with the lowest battery pack at that 35,000 mark? Thanks, and you have a great podcast.
Well, Tesla8, thank you for the call. And, first of all, there is a debate on the Tesla Motors Club forum. I brought this up on the show before. Some people think that there won't even be signatures for Model 3 because they're intended to be the mass-produced, everyman car, as it were. And I wholly disagree with that. I absolutely think there will be signatures. It is, past performance is not indicative of future performance, but Tesla has done signatures on every car they've ever made, and it does make a lot of sense. whereas they're, they can use the signatures to sort of figure everything out and get those fully optioned higher revenue cars out the door first. But nevertheless, you bring up a great point about Model 3, and it's one that's been debated on TMC before, about, the whole, the Model X has had its narrative altered negatively a bit by the press. What a shock that the press would twist a Tesla narrative into something negative. People keep emailing me examples of Tesla narratives that have been just brutally twisted in a completely unfair way, but by so-called unbiased media outlets. But anyway, with Model 3, I very much think there will be founders cars, because this is the car that the entire company was created to make. It's Model 3. It's not S, it's not X, and it's not the Roadster. The whole point, as laid out by Elon in the not-so-secret master plan from 2006, before Tesla had made a single car, Model 3 is the ultimate goal of the company. To advance the mass, the mass spread of sustainable transportation, sustainable, energy transport. And Model 3 is that end game for Tesla. So, that there will be founders cars. Those investors are going to be looking to get their hands on that Model 3 first for prestige factor, if nothing else. And then the Signature Series, which is what I plan to plunk down for. That is my goal, of course, as I've said on the show over and over, I'm trying to save, I'm trying to plan. I want to do a fully loaded Model 3, which I'm hoping will be praying for 75,000, thinking maybe 80, hoping it's not any more than that, because I think that's about the highest I'd even realistically have any chance of getting to. But, I intend to go for a dual motor performance car, Model 3, Signature Series, all the bells and whistles. But to your point, you make your ultimate question about when is that first $35,000 base model going to hit? Because with X, it's going to take a long time, and with the S, the 60 kilowatt cars took quite a long time, and those few 40 kilowatt cars that they offered and that had been reserved before Tesla ultimately discontinued them, those folks had to wait quite a while as well. And so it is a very fair question with Model 3. Tesla doesn't want that narrative. It's one thing on Model X, right, where it's like, some fools in the media think, Tesla's new SUV is $140,000. Like, well, no, this version of it is, and Tesla's not the only company in the industry that engages in this kind of practice of selling the higher optioned version of the new vehicle first. But with Model 3, I have to think that, well, first of all, because they are aiming to produce so many more, they're not going to start by making 100,000 a year. They're probably, if I had to just purely guess, which obviously I have nothing to go on, but I got to figure, they're going to ramp up, and I'll bet the first full year of production for Model 3 is going to be 50,000 cars, and then maybe 75 and 100, and it's going to be a ramp somewhat based on demand, but somewhat based on just logistics as well, what Tesla is capable of handling. But I think that with Model 3, I believe that there will be signature models, and there have been about 1,000 of them, 1,000, 1,250, depending who you ask, I guess, with the S and with the X. But my guess is that there will be 5,000, probably not, like maybe 10, but I think it's going to be 5,000 Signature Series Model 3s, which, even when you account for a slow ramp up of cars, of production for Model 3 out of the Tesla factory, that's 1/10 of the year, or about, so if it's 50,000 cars the first year, and there's 50, they're working 50 weeks a year, do the math, that's 1,000 cars a week. So you got to figure it's the first month and change of production that would be dedicated solely to Signature Series cars. And that's not that much. So people wouldn't be waiting too long. Meaning general production reservations. And so, to ultimately get to your question, I think that the difference between S, X, and 3, as there's just this little tickle in my throat, it's making me crazy. Anyway, I think the general production cars, the signatures will be made first, but I don't think the general production cars will be batched quite the same way. I don't think they're going to start with the big battery and just work their way down from most expensive cars to cheapest Model 3s. I think once general production starts, Tesla is going to basically build anything. And I think they'll batch to a certain extent with paint colors and battery types and what have you. Pardon me. But I guess I'm not quite back up to speed yet as I'm trying to talk like full blast. But anyway, I do think they sort of politically have to mix in $35,000 cars very early on, and also I think they just out of fairness and forget about the media. I think that it's just something they need to do, and I think they will do. I don't think Model 3 is going to be a $55,000 car, $50,000 car for the first year it's available. I think it's going to be a $60,000+ Signature Series car for the first month. And then after that, I think it's going to be, all bets are off. You can order whatever you want. I mean, we don't even know how long the backlog's going to be. Like, the reservation list for Model 3 could be a year. What if they get 50,000 reservations? They have 30,000 approximately that we know of, for like ballpark reservations for the X. Granted, that's built up over the course of 3 years or so. More, I guess, almost 4 now. And the S had, 3 years of waiting list time? Something like that. The Model 3 theoretically won't have that. People on the list which will be me, won't wait that long, because if we put our reservations down in March of 2016, we've hopefully got maybe a 2-year wait ahead of us instead of a 3 or a 4-year wait. But even in that 2 years, you've got to figure, and with the anecdotal word of mouth that you hear from owners and non-owners alike. I've heard from a lot of listeners of this podcast who are just like me, people that are waiting for Model 3 because they can't afford the S, they can't afford the X. And then, you hear a lot of anecdotal similarities from like Model S owners who have people come up to them and ask them about their car, and it's, oh, I'm waiting for Model 3. I mean, there seems to be a lot of anticipation and a lot of money ready to be thrown at the Model 3. So I think 50,000 reservations, even in 2 years, is not all that unreasonable. So the first year of Model 3 production might get entirely sold out. But a lot of those people are going to want $35,000-ish base cars. And so I think Tesla has to accommodate those people and can't make them wait until the tail end of that year. So good stuff from Tesla 8. I always love talking Model 3. If you've got a Model 3 question, any other kind of question you want to talk about on the show, drop me a line. It's a toll-free call. You just leave a message, and then I'll play it on the air. It's 1-888-989-8752. That spells TSLA. And I remind you that, and you can also Skype that. And I remind you that if you know someone special with an upcoming birthday, anniversary, graduation, or some other special occasion, you can give them a unique gift of recorded voices from friends and family telling them why they are special. The recordings can be podcasted or put onto a keepsake. Visit my friends at lifeonrecord.com to learn more. And I'll be right back with the news. There's some good stuff for you this week. Two items of note in the news this week, as hopefully I can get my voice under control. You guys are probably like, oh my God, Ryan, just Get it together, man. I'm so close to getting it together. I really am. I really, truly am. Now I've got water next to me in case I need it. I was powering through that last segment with this like horrible little tickle in the back of my throat. Anyway, this week we learned that firmware 7.1 of the operating software for the Model S, and of course Model X, though nobody's got one yet, virtually. Firmware 7.1 now in testing, and it's got a few interesting new additions. First of all, auto steer, pardon me, jeez, is now limited to 45 miles an hour on single lane roads with markings. Highway usage is unaffected, but basically, this is Elon fulfilling his promise that he made, I believe, on Twitter, of people going a little cray-cray with the Autopilot, using it where it wasn't quite meant to be used, meaning non-highways. So single lane roads, you can use it, with oncoming traffic to your immediate left, but you will not be able to do so at high speeds any longer. Next up, a driver mode has been added to the car, which when activated will only extend the driver's door handle when you approach with the key fob, which makes a ton of sense. If you're just someone that you drive the car yourself to work, commute to work, whatever it is, you can activate that, which is obviously just a very minor security feature, but a potentially significant one. If you're coming out of the office late at night, some nut job's walking towards you and you get in your car. It's like, well, your passenger door by default is open too. You don't want that nutcase hopping in your car with you and asking weird questions or worse. So the driver mode will only extend the driver's door handle when you approach it with the key fob. Also, the instrument cluster, which of course was redesigned, the graphics were redesigned for 7.0, it's now going to better render the vehicles detected by the sensor array on each lane next to you. So now they just show up as just nothing. Little blobs or little sensor readings. So now they're actually the vehicle animations will now include trucks and motorcycles instead of just vaguely Model S-shaped blob cars in front or to the sides of you. So that's cool. I love that they're advancing that, just making it, make it a little more like a video game. It's gonna be like Road Rash in there pretty soon, or Need for Speed. And then also interestingly, your garage door can now, if you wanted to, open automatically when you approach it if you've set up your home link in your Model S, which is super cool, because I was already impressed when I had the car for review for a few days each time, both with P85 and P85D this year. I set up my home link with it, and I just loved how as soon as the car knew from GPS that we were rolling right up towards the house, it just pops right up at the top of the screen there. You can just one quick touch is all it needs to trigger your garage door opening. Now you won't even need to do that. You'll just roll up and it's going to automatically open for you, which is pretty cool. And a number of people online have noted that perhaps this is a precursor to the originally promised auto summoning and auto garage parking features, which Elon first mentioned when Autopilot was first announced. Now, if you saw my house, I live in San Francisco on everywhere in San Francisco is pretty tight. There's street parking everywhere. If getting into my garage is not an easy task in any car. It's especially difficult in a Model S, I can tell you. But yeah, so believe me, it's tight enough in my neighborhood where I would pay so much money. I would pay if the car could reliably, if I could just get out in front of my house and then on the app push auto park, and then it did the zigzag, however many point turn it needs to do to get into my garage, and then doing it again if I just walk outside my door and on the app hit exit my garage. If it can actually do that, now I suspect it's not going to be that advanced, at least not right away. I'm guessing This is more for people that live in normal cities with like two-car garage, two-car width driveways and big, without the sort of tight city constraints where it's a very straightforward pull in, pull out, pull in, pull out. Nevertheless, if it so happens that the Tesla that eventually Autopilot and Autopark can handle San Francisco streets and neighborhoods, I would pay to see that. I would probably, that might be the killer thing for me, where I just tell my wife, sorry, hon, we can't start, we gotta bail on Model 3. Can't wait that long anymore. Just need to do this right now. I'm so sick of trying to get the car in and out of the garage. But anyway, it will now, at least for the time being, on 7.1, it will automatically open your garage door if you've got HomeLink set up. Now, in the very most recent update that's actually out now, it's firmware revision 2.9.40. P85D and P90D owners will find that they have a new little toy called Launch Mode. Yes, Launch Mode, which of course many ICE cars have. Of course, they need it with the way their stuff works. We don't have any scientific data yet on this. No VBox numbers, no nothing. We're waiting for the good folks at TMC to get on that, which they are in the process of doing. But there is a launch mode for the performance vehicles if you've got one of the newer ones. What you first have to do is go into your driving settings and engage max battery power mode. Then firmly press the brake all the way down, firmly press the accelerator all the way down, release the accelerator, then then stomp the accelerator again, so you got both feet down, and now you're ready. You got 4 seconds before launch mode disengages again, but launch mode's primed. Then you've got both feet down, pull the foot off the brake, and whoosh, away you go. So this primes the car to just to GTFO, to just be gone. So I can't imagine this is going to have a super significant impact. I mean, the car is already so quick, and it's so, the reaction to everything is so instant when you press the accelerator pedal. But it will be interesting to see some numbers on this and see what it can do. I mean, Tesla put it there for a reason, right? It's there for a reason, so it's going to be very interesting to see. Now, Motor Trend did that P90D ludicrous review about a month or so ago and got extra crazy 0 to 60 time. They got a 2.6, which no one has seen the car do yet in the real world. So wondering if, there's a lot of theories going around that, well, maybe Motor Trend had an early version of a new software update, and that's how they got it. So maybe it is. Maybe that car had launch control, and that's what this is going to be. So this is going to be of most benefit to the ludicrous cars. But I got to figure you might shave maybe a 0.05 off for you insane folks too. Well, it's going to be fun to see. But nevertheless, I love seeing Tesla do this stuff. No one asked for this. No one said, could you make my 0 to 6, could you make my insane car faster? Could you make my ludicrous car go off the line faster, please? More quickly? But I love that Tesla just does it. They do it, and it's awesome, and it's free. It's just part of the car. It's part of your ownership of the car. Brilliant stuff. So that's on the new. If you've got a P90, P85D or P90D, insane or ludicrous, get yourself updated ASAP and go find a very safe place. Test this out. Let me know how it is. Give me a ring, in fact. I mean, I'm always reading the Tesla Motors Club forums, but I would love to hear directly from a P85 or P90D owner. Give me a ring, toll free. Leave a message on the Ride the Lightning Hotline at 1-888-989-8752. That's 1-888-989-TSLA. And let me hear it from you. Is this making any noticeable difference? Did you try measuring it? What's the good word on this? I am very curious. And the other fun news item of the week, this is definitely pure fun. There's nothing of significance to this, but Tesla's got they've got a web shop with some, they've got, of course, clothing. I've got a few Tesla shirts myself. My favorite one is, I've got a Roadster shirt from when I first visited the original OG Menlo Park store back in 2009 when I first fell in love with Tesla back. If you remember back to episode 1, if you've been listening to the podcast the whole way, I described on episode 1 how I first came to Tesla, and it was through a DeLorean Club event back when I had my DeLorean, and I set it up with Tesla, with some the folks there at the Menlo Park store. We had 17 DeLoreans all show up, and they gave us this cool tour of the back, the final assembly building in the back that they don't normally let people into. Of course, the showroom was there with nothing. I mean, at the time, that was Roadster only. But I had to buy a keepsake on my way out, and I bought a Roadster shirt that I still love. It's a little picture of the Roadster, and it says lithium-ion powered. But my favorite Tesla shirt is my one that it's a gray shirt, and it's just the Tesla T logo, like it's a Superman logo, just big T logo in the middle of the shirt. I love it. Anyway, one of Tesla's latest product, which is straight up my alley, except I don't have the car, but I've added this to my Christmas list anyway, and my wife knows about it for sure. She knows. It is an iPhone case made from leftover Napa leather used to make the seats in Model S. So this is a way to have less waste when making the car. How cool is this? They're taking the leftover Napa leather. In this case, it appears to only be black. I don't see. I'm going to double check again right now, but I believe it is just the black that they're offering so far. But yes, it is made from the same Napa leather that the car's seats are made from. And how great! Yeah, it's just black so far, but yeah, how cool is that? You see, so I can't afford the car, but I can afford part of what's in it. I can afford a hunk of leather that's used in the seats. It's reasonably priced. It's a nice slim case, by the way. It looks functionally identical to the official Apple case, which I'm using on my 6 Plus, where it's just that sleeve case. It's just that little that most minimalist of cases possible that it rests inside. But it's got the Tesla T logo imprinted on the back, and then if you want to pay an extra $5, you can have some credit card slots stitched onto the back of that case. And Tesla also says that version of the case, which is $50, will actually will block RFID readers, so that in case you're paranoid about, because hacking cars is a thing that is real and that is going to continue to be a problem. So this allegedly blocks those, so that's not going to happen to you. But I guess it's reasonably priced. The official Apple case that I have cost me $50. And I remember when I bought it, I was just like, just grumbling at the register. This is $45, or if you want the wallet, the credit card version, that's $50. So pretty reasonably priced. Again, it's leather same leather that goes in the seats in the Model S and the Model X. I already ordered one for my Model S owning cousin Pat in Arizona for Christmas. Hopefully he doesn't. I don't think he listens to this podcast, but even if he does, he'll know not to buy one for himself. But it hasn't arrived, so I can't speak to the quality of it yet. But you got to figure, the quality. You know, it's the same leather that's in the car. I'm very curious to see it. It should be. It'll be arriving. Well, I guess I'm not going to open it, so I won't know what the quality is actually like until I give it to him at Christmas time. But that is a cool gift. So you can visit shop.teslamotors.com for that. It's in the design collection if you click into there and look in there. And finally this week, another new territory that Tesla is moving into. Tesla fans in Mexico can now begin reserving the car for close to the equivalent of a $5,000 USD reservation. But not much to add there other than that it's just great to see another nation checked off of Tesla's list. This is a great thing. We'll see how the nation of Mexico responds to having the greatest car in the world available to it. So that is good stuff. I'll come right back, wrap up right after this. Oh, my boxer, Maggie, is passed out on the couch, as she usually is when I record the show. I didn't hear any snores from her this week, and fortunately she didn't see fit to get up and eat or drink in the middle of the podcast. But if you are curious to see this, my almost co-host, my four-legged pseudo co-host, you can take a look at pictures of her on Twitter at Maggie the Boxer. I love Maggie. She's the best. She's totally a lump on the couch right now. Anyway, I remind you, please follow me on Twitter at DMC_Ryan. And if it won't fit in 140 characters, you can always email me. The podcast email address is teslapodcast@gmail.com. If you're a video gamer, my day job is IGN.com. We're the number one video game website in the world. We also cover all kinds of entertainment stuff, movies, TV, comics. Of course, Star Wars The Force Awakens coming up. I am seeing it on Thursday night and then again on Friday afternoon with some folks from work. I am very excited. I'm not like a huge Star Wars nut, but I just feel, I don't know, I get good vibes from this. I cut myself off. I went on media blackout before that Monday Night Football trailer. And now there have been some TV spots, and I'm now super glad that I cut myself off when I did, because those first couple trailers were enough for me. Like, all right, I've seen enough. I'm stoked. I'm excited. Can't wait to see it on Thursday night. I'm sure I'll mention it on next week's show, but I definitely will not give any spoilers for sure. Don't worry about that. But what else can I tell you? So yeah, anyway, we'll be covering all kinds of Star Wars stuff on IGN. Visit my t-shirt website if you would be so kind. I've got some fun designs over there. The best selling one being the Coexist video game shirt, where it is an anthropomorphic Xbox One controller and an anthropomorphic PlayStation 4 controller. They are jumping in the air and high-fiving each other with the caption Coexist. It is good stuff. So you can find that on nerdstyles.com. I would love you to pieces if you would order a shirt. It makes a great holiday gift. What can I say? Also, please be sure to subscribe to Dave T's weekly Tesla newsletter at teslaweekly.com. I want to say an extra special thank you to Dave for he plugged Ride the Lightning in this week's newsletter. So thank you, Dave. I sincerely appreciate that. And a reminder that you can now listen to this podcast in your Tesla via TuneIn. Just search Tesla Podcast and be sure to follow it. Then you can find it very, very easily in your car anytime you are in it. We're up to 20 episodes. I'm so stoked. I've had so much fun doing this. I can't believe I'm up to 20 episodes already. I'm having an absolute ball. I've got some fun plans for the show in 2016. The first phase of which should start happening in January. It'll be a new segment that I hope folks will like. I'm working with another Tesla fan in the community on it, so keep an eye out for that. I do plan to keep the shows rolling up through the holidays. I will, like I said, I think I mentioned this last week, but I will probably probably miss 1 week. I'm going to be traveling for the holidays. I'm going to be in Arizona visiting my family around New Year's time. Pardon me. So I definitely plan to have a show next week, and probably should have one the week after as well, for December 20th. And then also the 27th. But it'll probably be that January 3rd. Might not have a show that would it's probably going to skip one. Just take 1 week off. I hope. I do my best to keep the show happening every Sunday, because I know, there's so many entertainment options competing for your attention at any given moment, whether it's podcasts, it's radio, it's streaming music services, it's television, it's, whatever it is, that I feel like if I miss 1 week of the show, everybody's just going to be like, oh, forget it, he's not doing it anymore, let me go find something else. But hopefully you folks would be so kind as to allow me one week off over the holidays. It's probably going to be slow Tesla time anyway, although with Tesla you just never quite know. So anyway, the plan is to keep the show rolling, and might just be that first Sunday in January, that January 3rd might be the week that I take off. We'll see. For now, I'm here. I'm having a blast. 20 episodes in the books. Thank you so much to everyone who's picked up the podcast, either whether it was from episode 1 or just super recently. Of course, you can always go back on iTunes, or again, if you're not an iTunes person, you can find the RSS feed at teslapodcast.libsyn.com, and Libsyn is Libsyn. So, however you prefer to listen to this podcast, I am more than happy to help make that happen for you. So, thanks again to all of you. Hope you're having a great holiday season so far. I look forward to be joining you again for episode 21 this time next week. I'll see you then.